Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Scratch a Track podcast presented by the Dude and Grim Show. I am the Dude.
And I am Grim. And we are here today to discuss the new vinyl box set. Very comprehensive vinyl box set by the Mars Volta.
Yes. Called La Realidad de los Suenos.
Yes, in broken Spanish, which means the reality of dreams.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
all right. So there's that.
Let's talk about, and there's been a little bit of internal discussion before. Mm-hmm. Is this just the Scratch Track podcast, or is this first initial impressions? Because this is kind of my initial impression of this when I heard about it.
Yeah. Well, my initial impression when I heard about it was fuck, this is $500. This is a lot of money.
Dude, mine too. And that's why immediately I knew it was something I wasn't going to buy.
Yes. As much as I love them. They're a great band. Oh,
for sure. And dude, something that I would actually want, like, for people of our age, like a lot of the stuff that you got vinyl related was passed down from like your dad or your uncle or maybe even your grandpa. So that would not include things like the Mars Volta's catalog.
No.
Even if they were alive to appreciate them or are alive to appreciate them, I doubt that they're going to get back into vinyl for the sole purpose of the Reality of Dreams box set.
No, you'll be going to the store and getting a fresh 180 gram pressing. Yes, that will be happening. But now here's the thing. We did say it's, $500. So this is definitely a limited edition.
Of 5,000 copies.
Apparently they're only making 5,000. Yeah. That's unbelievably limited. Like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
It comes out April 23rd. So I think by the time this airs, it will be out. So if anybody out there has it, then let us know what you think. I'm sure it's badass.
It does look glorious. I'm not going to lie. It looks awesome. But
their packaging and their artwork has always been, I've always loved it.
Really cool.
It's some really, really cool design. So I imagine this will be nothing different. Now, it includes all 6 of their studio albums, including their debut EP, what? Tremulant? Tremulant? Okay.
Tremulant.
But it also includes some stuff from the Deloused from the Comatorium sessions. And from my understanding, there is something they're calling the Landscape Tantrums, which is unreleased material from those sessions. And they're just basically unfinished original recordings, it sounds like.
Well, and didn't they have early versions of a couple of the songs? For some reason, like Cicatriz ESP comes to mind and something else. I don't know.
I think there was. And maybe Wednesday we'll be having a Deloused Wednesday here. So there might be more information to come on that. But I believe that Cedric and Omar, I think they were recording and kind of had other members or playing with some other members, and they recorded a few of those demos. Now, when they did Deloused, that was actually with other, some other bandmates and members, a few from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is kind of cool. But
awesome.
But I'd be
and
curious.
JMJ, dude.
Who?
Justin Meldal Johnson. And he actually tours with 9 Inch Nails, which is why I bring that up, because I figured you would know that.
I did. Yeah. We saw him. He was playing. That was his first tour.
Correct,
we saw
dude,
him with the band. Yeah, exactly. So
really good bass player.
Then it also comes with an LP that has A Plague Upon Your Hissing Children and a unit. What is it? Eunuch Provocateur.
Yeah.
It looks like, which are never been officially released tracks, but I believe there's probably been bootlegs and stuff out there, so people may have heard them. So if anybody's heard those songs, let us know what you think. I've never heard them. I haven't dug too deep. I'm sure you can find them in the internet, YouTube, and maybe even on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff. I'm just not really sure.
Now here's what I need to know, dude.
I need to know. Okay, what?
So I'm looking at the album list.
Yes. You're wondering where Scab Dates is.
That's funny. Yes. But really what I want to know is if you just take their studio albums into account, what is your favorite Mars Volta studio album?
Deloused.
Okay.
I have a feeling I know yours.
You know, I would have said Francis the Mute for a long time. Because that's the one that I feel like I really got introduced to even prior to Deloused, even though it was out later. I mean, I was just kind of, didn't really slide in there right on time. But let's just say for reasons that I will not mention, I have been listening to a lot more of Deloused lately. And I think, dude, as an album... As a complete album of theirs, it's really hard to deny that as the best one.
Dude.
I get it. I get it.
It is an insane piece of work.
Yeah, as a complete work. Now, I will say some of those other albums contain songs of theirs that I would argue I like more than a lot of the songs on Deloused. Like, dude, have you ever heard fucking Soothsayer off the Bedlam and Goliath? Oh.
So Bedlam and Goliath is probably, it might be my second favorite, because I love Metatron, Linea, and Wax Similar, whatever. Dude,
I know. I think that album is really sweet.
It's so good, and they've done cool things with packaging. I don't know if it was Bedlam or it might have been Octahedron. I swear I bought one of their albums and it came on like this like wooden thumb drive or something. It was pretty cool.
Dude, I gotta say though, man, in terms, even though their albums are different in what the picture or whatever it's about, whether it's a photograph or a painting, I can't describe it, but there is this odd similarity between them all. Well, and same with the sound, but even visually, there's some sort of continuity in between them. And I couldn't even put my finger on what it is, but yeah, the sound is clear. Yeah, one of the things I love is in every album, they seem to go into this spot where they go into like a weird kind of electronic beat for a minute. And then it kind of goes out of it.
Yeah, they do some I've never heard a band like this. They were 100% unique and authentic, very authentic. And I've just, from the musical sound, the tempo, the beats, his lyrics are just,
I know they're really weird and abstract, but some of them are awesome.
The way they fit together, it's not like, this is, you never feel like it's silly. Like sometimes you hear people's lyrics and you're like, that's kind of silly.
You're like, that is strange and odd and I don't understand it, but it's not silly.
But I like it.
Exactly. It's not silly. Yeah. No, that's fair. I will agree. There was some reviewer, I guess, and maybe we'll talk about this another time, but there was an interesting way. There was like these several bands that they said it's almost like a jam session between X, 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 and X. But it actually worked because they're like bands that you wouldn't think would go together. And
sure,
I don't know. I've always been fascinated by them, hearing them.
No, definitely, me too. Well, this also comes with some a book of behind the scenes photos and 2 collectible pins. So,
get your bomber jackets out.
Exactly. It's like we're in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those are Letterman's jackets.
Letterman's, whatever. Yeah, that shit too. Well, here's the interesting thing about this sort of box set and then coming out with it. The part of the motivation behind it, from my understanding, is that they were pissed at Universal for the initial pressings of the album, the quality of it, and actually Mars Volta, they had negotiated to owning the rights to press their own vinyl of these. Now, I don't know if within that contract that meant that Universal couldn't do it, but what it did mean is the Mars Volta could. And they were really unhappy with the way that the pressing sounded, because they said, and you might know, it was kind of taken from the digital masters as opposed to, I guess, however else it's done in the vinyl.
The analog.
World.
Yeah.
Yeah. The analog.
Well, I'm not going to for a second claim to be an expert on any of this, but I will say the amount that I have read talks about some different things that you may do with a master tape if your intention is to put it on vinyl. Especially with a band like the Mars Volta. Like the Mars Volta, range, the dynamic range and the kind of amount of sounds and the way it all comes together. It's almost like a band that the Lord never intended for vinyl, if you know what I mean. Because it's like they're almost too much. Like Mr. Bungle's California, for example, to me is like, I'm almost surprised that the vinyl just doesn't blow up or something, because like it just can't handle it. There's just like some stuff where you're like, man, this could only exist in this realm because it could handle it, and maybe that's an ignorant thing to say, but it's how it seems. And Mars Volta is like in that category.
Absolutely. I mean, their sound, and if you haven't heard them, I mean, I imagine most people who are watching this have. You should definitely. And I personally would start with Deloused. Use their first album. Start there, and I mean, you're in for a fucking ride. I'll say.
Oh that. Yeah, and that was one of the reviews I read about that mentioned like, you don't just put this album on as background music. I'm paraphrasing, but it's more or less like you pay attention to this because it is something unlike what your palate is ready to accept. You know?
It's very kind of it's not passive listening. It's active listening.
Sure.
You are in it, and it's you once you buy the ticket, you take the ride. So it's worth the price of admission. Now,
sure.
Back to the box set though, Grim. I know you and I were talking a little bit. I would love to have some of them, and maybe even eventually all of them on vinyl. But initially, it's tough for me to come up with $500.
Oh.
To get all of them. I'd rather build it over time.
Yeah, I don't know that I would do that for any band. Honest to God, like $500 for. And now, granted, you could see a band like, okay, so you could get everything by the Beatles or something like the remastered, amazing edition from the redone master tape.
Giles Martin.
Going back generation and generation to where you can get the individual tracks. That would be amazing. Yeah. And again, like you said, something you would build over time. But I couldn't just go to the store and be like, you know what? I got $500 in my pocket. This is happening now. Like,
well, one thing that was interesting,
I don't have enough disposable income for this.
I don't. No. Not yet, anyways. Not until we can start expensing our vinyl. Through the Stephen Grimm Show.
And then, dude, count me in.
Yeah.
Hell, I'll order this shit off Discogs for like $15,000.
Yeah, whatever. But so the company that's kind of this is through is Clouds Hill. And so if you go to their website, it does say sold out there, but I went to Target's website and it looked like I could pre-order it. So I don't know if there's like a second run or a second pressing or
I don't know
what they're going to do. Part of me would hope that they would now come out with them individually, or maybe sort of a dumbed down box set that doesn't have sort of maybe, the unreleased stuff or the pins and whatnot. Because dude, I would go ahead, like, I would definitely be picking up Deloused like right away. That's for me. That's probably where I'd definitely start of theirs.
Yeah, and I don't know. The articles and what I read about this was fascinating because I like the fact that I believe it would have been Omar Rodriguez Lopez had the wherewithal to be like, I will retain the rights to my songwriting and the rights to my masters. And so he said something where he was like, I have the master, and that's how they made him, like, because he had the masters. And to me, that is like a win in the music world and a fuck you in a way that not a lot of stuff can be, because people got screwed so early on. But like, this next generation read the stories, you know?
Yeah, they definitely have. I mean, there's been a million of them. And that's the thing, dude, when you're a young man trying to make it and somebody says, they put a piece of paper in front of you and they're like, hey, you're going to make millions in this and this and this. And
you're like, wait, I don't have to live out of a van anymore? I'm in.
Yeah, right.
No more baked beans.
Let me just sign my life away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think that about wraps up this episode, Mr. Grimm. I mean,
again, very impressive, beautiful piece of work when I see the photographs. I can't. Awesome. I personally, like I said, don't have that kind of money. I applaud those who do.
Or who are that, or who are just that big of a fans. Right?
Yeah.
They
for
are
sure.
out there.
For sure.
Like, dude.
That's. Yeah,
there's about 5,000 of them. So
at least. I mean, it's sold out. We'll go ahead and say 6 just for the sake of. I mean, you know, it's easier to sell out when there's more fans than there is boxes. Anyways.
Yes, but I think that about wraps it up here, Mr. Grimm. So everybody,
stay tuned for Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we didn't mention it, but please go ahead
and subscribe and comment below.
Yeah, we always forget. But I'm at this point, dude. I mean, who hasn't liked and subscribed, right? I mean,
yeah.
You know, I'm sure you were just like loving this episode. So, all right, everyone. Until next time, time to go. The Dude and Grimm Show.
Scratch a Track is produced by the Dude and Grimm. Additional music provided by Moore and the Tims. Copyright 2021. The Dude and Grimm Show.